some time in the kitchen with Chef John Aluni at the Cutting Edge Classroom. Today's menu, well, we're headed to Thailand for Thai street food. Chef, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
My passion for cooking started back when I was like 3 years old. I'm an Italian, so I was raised in an Italian family. So you can imagine 20 people sitting around the table on a Sunday talking too loud and arguing over whose food's the best. And, you know, that's how I started.
A start with food that's resulted in culinary education.
We started out teaching kids classes at the Carnes Community Club. And then we decided to get a brick and mortar and started classes here for kids, and that ended up changing to adult classes and kids classes. So now we do both, and parent-child classes, tons of adult classes, and kids.
Teaching East Tennesseans the ins and outs of cooking in a hands-on way.
When it comes to cooking, hands-on is everything. That's how you're going to remember it. And there's also a lot of science involved in cooking. And, you know, you could pull a recipe off Google and make it, and it might not come out the same every time, or it might not come out right, because you really have to be able to feel the food with your hands, smell it, see it. It's about your senses. And we show people how to take a recipe and make it their own. You just have to do it. So that's why hands-on is it.
Where hands-on learning meets team building and fellowship. You know, the best thing about Chef John's class is that you're truly building teamwork all while making great food. So let's get to it.
We're doing Thai cuisine, so we're going to do some Thai street food. Our menu kind of looks like this. We're doing fresh spring rolls, and this is a lot of hands-on and demonstration. We're making Thai chicken curry, Thai chicken wings, pad Thai, and coconut sticky rice with mango will be our dessert. So we've got a 5-course going on tonight, so it's going to be fun.
And you can always expect a 5-course meal at Chef's classes.
Expect to have a fun time. It's a very safe environment. It's good for anybody, so you could be, you know, advanced to beginner to never step foot in the kitchen before. We know how to handle all that, but you're definitely going to have fun. You're going to eat really good food. We don't just do little tastings, so you get pretty much a meal with every class, unless it's a pastry or baking class, and you get a lot of sweets. You're going to see demonstrations from our chefs, and you're going to get to do it hands-on as well. So there's always a hands-on component. Some are more than others, but you'll definitely get your hands dirty and have a good time.
Having a good time with the Cutting Edge. The Cutting Edge Classroom is the perfect place to take cooking classes with your friends and family, have a date night with your loved ones, and just come out and have some truly delicious, great food. Whether it's cooking international dishes like Thai street food or Indian food, or maybe even taking a spin and trying out baking with cookies and cakes, Chef John Aluni truly does have the perfect place to learn it all. All you have to do is head to his website, thecuttingedgeclassroom.com, and since we're making food, it's always a great time to come out and chow. Ciao. We'll see y'all later.
She's messed up now because she's shown us she knows how to make that recipe. Now I'm going to make her do it for us.
We're going to hold her feet to the fire on that for sure.
Good evening, everyone. This is Paul with Elkmont Media. I work with Chef John here at the Cutting Edge Classroom. Just a couple of things before we get started to kind of look around at your screen. Down at the bottom of your screen, you should have a couple of different options if you scroll down that says chat or raise your hand. And we're going to ask you as we go through this, if you're caught up, we'll ask questions like everybody raise your hand. And then if you look at the chat function, go ahead and click on that and you'll see a couple different options on the chat. One of them is you can send a chat to all panelists or to all panelists and all attendees. And we want to send it to everybody whenever you're ready to have a chat question. So if you have any problems or anything as we go along, go ahead and ask a question. Looks like we already got 2 people in the chat. How about that? So that looks like you guys have that figured out. And as we go through this, if you have any questions as we go through this, just be sure to just ask a question right in the chat function. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to, I'm going to introduce Chef John with the Cutting Edge Classroom. You're on.
I'll be right there.
Chef.
I'll be right there. I kind of forgot something, so I'm already on catch-up mode here. How we doing, everybody? I'm Chef John, and I'm going to be your instructor. Welcome to the CASA Fundraiser and the Cutting Edge Classroom Cooking School. Thanks to ORNL, you know, we're here. They brought us on board to do this fundraiser, and we're excited to be here. It's a great cause. My sister years ago was very involved with CASA up in Pennsylvania, where we're from. So I remember that, her keeping very busy with that kind of stuff. She was really into it and did a lot. So it's near and dear to our family's heart, and I'm just thrilled to have you all here. A couple of things really quick. Well, actually, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I've been a chef for quite some time, probably around 30-some years. I lost track after about 30. I stopped counting. But previous to this, we opened up the school here, my wife and I, back in 2016, July of 2016. Prior to that, I was at University of Tennessee and Pellissippi State Culinary Institute teaching culinary arts. And prior to that, I did a whole lot of working in restaurants and clubs and resorts. I was an executive chef for Caesars, Pocono Resorts up in the Northeast for years and years, and a bunch of other things. So you're in good hands. I've done a lot of hibachi. This is probably about our 100 and some class. And we've done about, what, 4 or 5 virtuals, I think, already, me and Paul. So it's been really good to us. We're excited to be doing virtual as well as classes here at the school. So I'm going to quickly turn it over to Miss Ada Hernandez-Bell, and she's going to talk to you all, and then she'll pass it back to me, and we will get class started. So it's all yours, Ada.
Hi, everyone. It is telling me I cannot start a video.
Hopefully.
I don't know if they'll be able to see me. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for just participating in this. It's such kind of a neat opportunity. John, I wasn't aware that your sister was a CASA, so that's super exciting as well. For those of you who weren't able to participate when we spoke about what CASA is, we are the Court-Appointed Special Advocates Program. CASA of East Tennessee, which is my program, is in Knoxville, and CASA of the Tennessee Heartland is also a part of the ORNL campaign, and they serve Anderson, Sevier, and Blount counties. Basically what we do, we recruit, train, and support community volunteers who advocate for abused and neglected children in the court system. So when they're going to court hearings, when they're at their homes or in their foster homes, and just kind of going through those difficult times, they've got somebody to be there, walking alongside of them, and somebody to listen to what it is that they need, and to gather all the information from therapists, doctors, family members, the court themselves, and just everybody that's involved, so that recommendations can be made to the court for what's going to be in the best interest of these children, and get them as quickly into homes where they can thrive, and grow and succeed into healthy young adults. So that is the skinny about CASA. Again, we really thank you for participating in this. I hope you have a wonderful class. And if you're interested in learning more about CASA of East Tennessee or CASA of the Tennessee Heartlands, I believe our websites were sent out in the Zoom link. So you can go on there, look through our information, and see how you can get more involved or continue to participate with the ORNL activities that they're doing through this campaign. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Ada. And that's my mother's name, by the way. So that's pretty cool. I haven't met any Adas since I've been in Tennessee, so that's awesome to see that.
I am from
obviously
New York.
Last name like a loony. I wasn't born here.
Yeah.
I'm from Northeast PA. If you ever watch The Office, that's the town I'm from, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Did a lot of time there, went in the military, got out of the military, kind of moved to Florida because that's where the culinary scene is, and worked in a lot of different places, but ended up back in Pennsylvania. I always seemed to end up bouncing back there, and worked for Pocono Resorts while I was also going to college. So got a couple of different degrees, but they look great on the wall. But chefing is my thing, and now teaching. And I found out late in life teaching was my thing, but here I am. So let's get started. So we're doing hibachi, and like Paul said, if you have questions, please do not hesitate. This is a very small group. There's like, I don't know, 9 or 10 of you. So, I'm more than happy to answer questions as we go. Pick my brain. It doesn't matter. People ask all different kinds of stuff. I'll answer it as best I can. If you ask a question I don't know, you'll probably see me disappear so I can go Google it. I'm just kidding. But, don't be afraid to ask questions. So use that chat feature. We could stop and go. I'll give you guys ample opportunity to get yourselves caught up if you need to. But hopefully you saw the prep list that we were asking you guys to take care of, so that it kind of expedites things a little bit during class. So the thing I forgot, and I always do this, I have no idea why, is I forgot the yum yum sauce to measure everything out. I usually get everything ready. So, I've got all my stuff like I asked you guys to do, kind of all ready to go. The noodles are cooked. The rice has been cooked. The meat cut up, the shrimp ready, all those little detail things, but I didn't cut up my veggies. So I'm going to be doing that so you guys can kind of watch me do a little bit of nice stuff. So that's a great opportunity to ask questions. And if you're not sure about your preparedness for this, maybe ask like, oh, I forgot to cook the noodles or something. That's a good catch-up time because that's going to take about 15 minutes. And then after that, we will dive right in. And once we dive into the hibachi part of it, there's really no turning back. It's kind of one right after the other. So it goes pretty fast. We can take little stops in between, but overall, we're just going to run with it because your food will be sitting there getting cold if we don't. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the yum yum sauce. You guys may have made this already, or maybe you like it, or maybe you went and bought it. I don't know. I'm not there watching you. So, that's up to you. But this is a really good recipe for it, and it doesn't have a lot of ingredients that you don't need to consume. So it's really, really simple. It's only got a few things in it. So it's mayo. I'll start with the mayo anyway. So I'm not going to measure because, like I said, I forgot to get everything together. My bad. So I'm just going to guesstimate the quantities, and I'll taste it to make sure it's where it needs to be. And I'm making this for Paul because he gets to eat free for working with me. That's why I pay him. He works for food. So is that enough yum yum sauce there, Paul? I think that'll make enough for you, right?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not a bad amount there. Okay. So we got mayo. Mirin is rice cooking wine. It's really, really super sweet. You could find this in your Asian market. I think they even sell it at Walmart now. So the recipe calls for a tablespoon. So I'm just going to, boom, that's exactly a tablespoon, believe it or not. Probably don't believe it. Rice vinegar, about 1.5 teaspoons. A little more. There we go. Good. Garlic. Go big or go home, I always say. So, we've got this large container, but I'm going to pour it in my hand so it doesn't end up all getting dumped into the bowl at one time. Some paprika. That's what gives it that nice flavor and also that nice color. And I use smoked paprika. So it kind of adds a little smokiness to everything you put it in. And it's really, really good in this as well as many, many dishes. So really it's the only kind of paprika I use. And I think the last ingredient is about a tablespoon of good old ketchup. Boom, there it is. So, wire whisk. I'm going to have Paul taste test this because I know he's a connoisseur of yum yum sauce.
I am.
He's the yum yum master, the master of yum yum. Just stir it until it's kind of nice and smooth. There it is. Oh, look at that. Smother your hibachi with that, Paul. Little tasting spoon here. These are good for tasting food as well as ice cream. All right, here he comes. He likes getting on camera.
That's really good. And I'm not a fan of yum yum sauce.
I know. See, now you threw me under the bus. I told everybody you were a connoisseur. Now you say you don't like it.
It's really good.
That's terrible. Okay.
We got a quick question.
Question, shoot.
From Tina. She says, my husband has, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, celiac?
Celiac, yep.
Okay, what can I use as a substitute for lo mein noodles?
Rice noodles. Rice noodles work just fine. Or any kind of gluten-free noodle you can find. You know, the main thing with the noodles is you don't want to overcook them. So, you know, if you're using rice noodles, I handle those differently. I just soak them in hot water, whether the recipe says boil them or not. Soak them in hot water for about a half hour, and they're still going to be a little bit hard. You stick it in your mouth, it's like, oh, this isn't done yet. But by the time you cook it on a griddle, in a stir fry, you know, in a wok, say you're doing pad thai or something like that, it gets soft really fast and they fall apart. So rice noodles are a little tricky because they don't have that gluten in there, that protein to hold them together. It's rice. So, you know, they will fall apart on you. Hope I answered that well, but rice noodles will work just fine. Anything else? We're good? Okay. So I'm going to kind of chop up the vegetables, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to do an inventory of our items to make sure. So this is a good time to watch me do some knife skill stuff, but also it's a good time for you to double check your list against the recipe to make sure that you have everything that you need and you're prepared to go. Because like I said, we have to make sure everything's at your fingertips, and that's how you should cook anyway. You know, it's called mise en place. That's a French thing. I don't know how they say it in Japanese, but you know, basically it's everything in its place. So you want all your ingredients to be really, you know, at hand, ready to go, so you don't have to run to the fridge, you know, run to the pantry, run to the store across the street, you know, while everything's burning on your stove, and it's just not pleasurable to cook that way. So we teach in here, you know, our classes are always fun and, you know, lively and energetic and interactive, but, you know, we also try to insert an educational component in every class we do, even if it's a date night class. You know, one of the biggies is getting everything ready so that you can enjoy the cooking process. So first thing I'm going to do is a pepper. So I just got, this came out of my garden actually. So yeah, just on the cutting board now, Paul. I think we'll stay there. This is a nice green pepper that I should say, give my wife credit. She's the one that went up there and picked it. And I'm just basically going to slice this thing up. So I just cut the top off. You got a good sharp knife. You definitely need to have that. The amount is irrelevant, and you know, if you don't like peppers, don't use them. I mean, this is a very flexible kind of recipe, so you can change it up as you see fit. If you don't like shrimp, don't use it. If you'd rather use fish, salmon, whatever, use it. You know, sky's the limit. You could get rid of the beef and use something else, or go vegetarian, use tofu, something like that. Okay, so I know the recipe calls for zucchini, but I'm going to use yellow squash because, again, it came out of my garden, and the zucchini's kind of had it. I had so much I couldn't give it away. I was ringing doorbells, dropping zucchini off and running. And my neighbors got tired of that. And then all the zucchini just kind of dried up now. So now I'm wishing I had it. Cutting sticks. They call them batons, but you know, just like that. Nice little sticks. I'm throwing it all together here. Don't need to separate it. And I'm probably making way more than you guys are, but I'm feeding Paul and my wife. I promised her I'd bring some home. So, you know, but you could substitute other vegetables too. You do not have to use all these. So do what you like. Some people put, you know, different things in it. All right, so I've got some broccoli here. I'm just cutting it into florets. This is going to give us the nice crunch. And I love a good crunch in my food. So some of it's going to, you know, the zucchini will be really soft. Broccoli will stay kind of firm. That's why I'm not worried about separating everything out. It's all going to go on the griddle at the same time. And it's going to come out just wonderful. So, geez, I should have got a bigger bowl. So I'm going to grab another one. So I still have a couple more things here. There we go. Let's do this bowl. Okay. Grows fast. I got some mushrooms. If you like mushrooms, these are great. And usually I just have mine. You could quarter them. It just depends on how big they are. But there is no need to slice them or make them really small because this is one of the things that's going to cook the fastest. I did wash these. Typically, I would wash them immediately before I use them. You never want to pre-wash mushrooms. It makes them go bad really, really fast. So something to think about when you're using those. And we're almost there. And these are just button mushrooms. You could use any kind you want. All right, we've got some ginger. Ginger is a necessary component in this dish. So the way I do my ginger, come here, okay, is I scrape it with a spoon. That's the easiest way to peel ginger, so you don't waste a lot. And you can see it's got all those little kind of knobs around it, and it's really could be a pain with a peeler. So just take a spoon and kind of scrape that peel off. Plus you're not wasting any. Not only do we not want to waste food, but also ginger can be rather expensive. There we go. See how quick that was? And I like using a bench scraper to pick up all my scraps off the cutting board. I'm going to just mince it up a bit. Julienne, little strips, in other words. Another thing I love teaching is knife skills because that's one of the classes that really makes a huge impact on folks, adults and kids alike, because it just helps you get a whole lot faster in the kitchen. So that prep, your food prep is much more smooth and simpler because nobody wants difficult, lengthy cooking. You know, and if you know knife skills and you're organized, you can really knock down your prep by 75% easy. I mean, that's an easy number to achieve if you're doing it the right way. So an hour-long ordeal could last 10 minutes if you know what you're doing and you have really good knife skills. Okay, so some green onion. These are already washed. I'm just going to take a little bit of the tip off. A lot of recipes just call for the green, but really that's just usually just an appearance thing, not so much the white isn't good because it is. So we're going to use the whole thing up. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these on an angle just because they look pretty in an Asian inspired dish.
Japanese-inspired dish. There it is. Okay, let's see. Let me get another small bowl. Probably more than I need, but you know what? Can't have too much green onion, in my opinion. All right, 2 more things, and we're going to get rocking. So one of the things you might want to do is if you have a flat griddle on your stove or a saute pan or a wok, whatever you're using, go ahead and get that on your stove and just put it on like low to medium just to get it hot. You don't want it smoking and burning and melting on your stove while you're watching me, but starting it to warm up is a good thing so that we don't have to kind of, because I forgot to turn mine on a few classes, and then you're sitting there 10 minutes trying to kill time while your griddle is heating up. So go ahead and get it warming up. Any questions so far? You guys are so awful quiet, so I guess I'm doing a good job.
We just got a question in.
All right.
From Teresa. Teresa asked, what is your favorite chopping knife?
Oh, favorite knife. Well, if you're asking me the brand, I like the Shun brand, which is a Japanese knife. And not just because I'm teaching hibachi, but I use them all the time. And this is a Shun. I'm trying to remember where the camera is. There it is. That's a Shun Premier. They make a few different types. I just picked up a Miyabi as well. That's another brand of Japanese knife. That's how pretty that is. It's the steel that they use, just same as samurai swords. They make it the same exact way. It's etched. That was one of those impulse buys while I was down in Florida a few months ago. I saw it in a store, Williams Sonoma of all places. So you can imagine I already overpaid, but it was a brand new knife. Just came out with it. Nobody else had it. Looked on Amazon, and I was like, I have to have that knife. And I bought it. I had a little buyer's remorse after, but it's a great knife. So, you know, my answer is, you know, I love the Shuns. I've used Wusthof. I've used Henkel. That last knife I showed you, actually, that company is owned by Henkel. So even though they're made in Japan, the German knife company owns them. So that's pretty cool to find out. But, you know, it depends on what I'm doing. I have different knives for different jobs. My advice always is, and I'm just cutting up garlic here, is, you know, whatever fits good in your hand and, you know, you like using. I don't care what brand it is.
You got another question, Chef.
Shoot.
From Katie, what is the advantage of using a griddle over a saute pan for hibachi?
Space. Surface space is really the advantage. So, you know, with a griddle, you have a lot more flat surface. With a saute pan, it's more curved up. So it might be a little more challenging to get your food out of the pan as well as, you know, keep it separated and stuff. But this recipe, you know, since we're doing it in steps and one's coming off as another one goes on, I think that a saute pan, if it's large enough, I think if it's over, you know, around 12 inches or up, you're going to be fine. If it's smaller than that, you could still swing it, but you might end up finding yourself stacking food, and you really don't want to stack food. You want it spread out. So that's another advantage is your food can kind of get spread out and cook evenly rather than be stacked up and have to constantly stir it. Because this doesn't cook like a stir fry. It's different. Stir fries are a lot different. You could actually, you know, pop them in a wok and go to it. So, but if you have a saute pan at home, don't let me scare you. I mean, it'll work perfectly fine. You shouldn't have to run out and buy a griddle. But if you like this and you want to do it more often, get yourself a little flat top. You know, I even have, I'll show you something I have. I got these at Aldi. I have a lot of other types, but, you know, this thing right here, and if you see my hand, you can kind of get a scale. And it works perfectly fine for hibachi. It's a little small, but for a family of 4, you can really get away with that. Then I have these. I'll show you one more, and then I'm going to get rolling here. So this one's, I got this at Costco. So you can see it's got a lot more surface. It's got a little lip here so your food doesn't fly off. And it's a grill on the other side. And this could just sit right on your stove, whether it's electric or gas, or a grill. I mean, you know, if you like grilling, throw it on top of the grill. Any heat source really will work. I do hibachi on my grill at home. I have a grill on my grill. It's a charcoal gas pellet grill with a griddle. My kids like overkilled my last birthday and bought me this mat. It's as big as my car, I think. And, you know, hey, Dad, look what we got. Oh, now I got to put it together and find a spot for it. But it's a cool grill. It really works well. Okay, one more thing. Onion. And then we're going to inventory, talk about our products a little, or our items a little bit here, and then we'll get started. So I'm just going to peel this onion. A little slit. I already had it halved because kind of had it from another class. So, all right. And I think we're just going to cut strips. I think the recipe called for strips and also some pieces, or I'll show you how to chop it. Never mind, because people like to see this. So, you know, I cut the end off. I still have the root intact. I'm just going to take my knife and I'm just going to run it through. I'm going to do it all chopped just so you can see me do it, but you guys might have some slice. That's fine. Then I take my knife through once. So now I've got totally intact onion. And just take your knife sideways, and I'm doing a large kind of dice on it. And there it is. That's what I'm talking about, you know, being organized. So, you know, if you're spending more than 10 seconds on an onion, you're doing way more crying than you deserve. So, you know, do it fast, get it done, and move on. And with onions anyway, that's the way I see it. They don't make me cry anymore, by the way. I guess I just kind of got immune to them, which is a good thing. I guess I cut enough of them to finally get that way. All right, so I think I have everything in place. So what I'm going to do, we're going to run down our ingredients, and then I'm going to stop and see if anybody needs anything or has any questions before we get started. And then we're going to fire it up and go. So your griddles should be heating up at this point. You might want to look at them just to make sure they're not, you know, they are getting hot. You might want to have it on, I don't know, we should be at about 250 to 300 degrees right now. And you can turn it up or down as you need to while we're cooking. So you should have, I'm going to run through the list really quick. You should have your vegetables all set like I do. This is way too many. It probably barely fit on the griddle, but oh well. Oil. I'm using peanut oil. You can use vegetable oil, canola oil. Any kind of high heat oil will work. I like putting my soy sauce in a squeeze bottle, so that's how I have mine. If you don't, that's fine. But this just makes it easier, you know, to demonstrate and to add however much you want. I go by eye, so I'll show you that as I go. I don't really measure out my soy sauce. I just put more or less depending upon how I want it. My onions that I chopped up right here with a little peel left in there. There we go. So onion, you guys might have sliced and chopped. That's okay. That's just one of those things that, you know, it's not overly important. It's just a visual thing more than anything. Green onion, lots of garlic. I'm Italian, so that goes without saying. We've got chopped ginger that I just minced up. We've got rice. Now the rice, what I do is I cook long grain rice ahead of time. I like to refrigerate it. When you refrigerate rice, it kind of binds the starch and gets hard, and it kind of gets loose as well. So that you want it to flow on the griddle. You don't want a big glob of, you know, hot rice on your griddle. So it's always best to use a good long grain. Rinse it first a couple times, and then, you know, cook it. Toss it in the fridge overnight or even for a couple hours if you can. If you forget it, you know, it'll still work, but you definitely want to get it cooled off if you can. We've got the noodles, and these are our hibachi noodles. Lo mein is another word for them. Rice stick noodles, or not rice, I'm sorry. Flour stick noodles is another name. And I cook it like pasta. It cooks a lot faster than traditional pasta, though. So I cooked this for about 2 minutes. Shocked it in ice water, poured some, strained it, poured some oil over it, just neutral oil, just to keep it from sticking together. and then there it is. So it's ready to go. So this is part of my pre-prep to get ready to do this dinner. And then I've got some of the carrots. So these were cooked off already, just until soft. I strained them. I threw them back in the pot, shut the heat off. Butter, a little bit of salt, and some brown sugar. That's the sweet carrots. So they're ready to go. I've got some butter, and you guys should be following along just to make sure you have it. I like to cut my butter into cubes because we're going to use it in various stages of the recipe. So you're not going to dump it all in at one time. So keep that in mind when you're using it. I've got pepper. That's just for seasoning. Sesame oil, got to have that. That's your flavor. Oyster sauce. If you couldn't find it, you could use a teriyaki or some other kind of sauce, or none at all. But I like the oyster sauce. It really adds to the noodles with the ginger and everything else. Lemon juice, whether it be fresh or out of the bottle, is fine. Either way. I've got some New York strip steak is what I'm using, cut up into cubes. That's what it looks like. So I already cut that up. You could use filet mignon. You could use a sirloin if you want to. You just have to make sure it's a good cut so that it's not really tough, because we didn't marinate it. It's just going on the griddle. So you don't want to use, a top round steak or something that's going to be very chewy at the end. So keep that in mind. We've got shrimp. These are large shrimp. I leave the tail on. You can take them off. It doesn't really matter. But they are thawed out and ready to go. I'm going to drain the water. There's a little bit of water on them because when they thawed, that's what happens. So if you got water on your shrimp, pour it off, because when it hits the griddle, you know what happens when water hits oil. It's going to splatter all over you. Let's see, what else? Did I miss anything? So bean sprouts. So here's my bean sprouts. And what I like to do with these are fresh. So I bought these fresh. And I like to soak them in cold water in the fridge. I know it sounds like, if you soak them in water, they're going to get, mushy, but it's opposite takes place. They actually get crispier. These will snap. They're so crispy. Really just snap right off. So they weren't like that when I first put them in here. The water actually does that for them. So these will last up to a week like this. And if you've ever bought fresh bean sprouts, you know that after a day or two, they are slimy and brown and you throw them away. They do not last long. So if you soak them in cold water in the fridge, you'll get about a week out of them. So you can just keep throwing them in dishes. They're great in just about everything, or just toss them on a salad. So, and they're good for you. So I like using them, and there they are. I just wanted to show you how you can do those.
We have a couple of questions.
All right, questions.
First one is from Deb. Where can I find fresh bean sprouts?
Where are you?
Oak Ridge.
Oak Ridge. I don't know Oak Ridge that well to know if there's an Asian market up there, but Sunrise Market on Kingston Pike, it's near Books A Million. Is it Books A Million?
Yeah, in Knoxville, Walker Springs.
Yeah, Walker Springs area. Sunrise is like a big Asian market. You can get all this stuff there and then some. They carry Mexican as well as Asian. It's worth a drive from Oak Ridge just to see the place.
She said, perfect, know that well. And then Tabitha said Publix had them as well.
There you go. Publix is awesome. My wife still takes credit for Publix coming to Knoxville.
I love Publix.
Because she worked for them when she was in high school, and then she wrote them letters like every day for the past 3 years. Going back before they opened here. And I think they got sick of hearing from her. At least that's her story. They finally came because she wrote so many letters. I don't know if that's true or not, but she loved them and wanted them up here. And I noticed they're open. We were just in Johnson City dropping our daughter off at ETSU, her first year there going to school. So, we're obviously, trying to check the place out. And they are building a Publix out there, too. So that was pretty cool to see.
But another question, too,
yeah.
Chef. Katie asks, do you recommend seasoning the meat and shrimp before cooking?
Define seasoning. What do you mean by seasoning? If you're talking about salt, no. If you're talking about pepper, probably not.
You said salt and pepper.
No. You will not find any salt in this dish because where's that salt coming from? Soy sauce. So no salt. No need to do that. Just you'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to be delicious. We had a question about gluten-free too. I don't know if one of you are, you know somebody that is, but you know, soy sauce can have gluten in it. So you got to watch out for that. Tamari does not. So it's just it's slightly different the way they make it, the science behind it. It tastes like soy sauce, but it's made differently, and it's gluten-free. So if you ever have to substitute. Also, liquid aminos works really good. Just trying to see if I have a bottle handy, but I don't see it. But it's called Liquid. Bragg's makes it. Liquid aminos works really well, and it's supposed to be a healthier alternative to soy-based sauce. So another gluten-free option there. Also, I forgot about the eggs. So we should have 2 eggs in front of you, just like that. I don't know if you cracked them in a bowl already. So if you could, it's probably easier to, if you have any questions or you're not sure about ingredients and being ready to start, go ahead and raise your hand and let me know that you need more time or you're unsure of something. Got any hands up, Paul?
No.
You guys are all over it. I love this group. Awesome. Okay. So one more preparation thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and crack my eggs into the bowl. And I know y'all know how to crack an egg, so I'm not going to insult your intelligence, but if you want to know the best way to crack an egg, I do a lot of research on it. You know, I'm a food person, so everything's about food. You know, I dream about food. I wake up thinking about it, unfortunately, sometimes. But, you know, crack it on a flat surface. Don't crack it on the side of a table or the side of a bowl. That jams the shell in. It also fragments the shell, which causes it to go into the food more often. And it also can break the yolk. But if you tap on a flat surface, now you're getting a bigger crack in it, if that makes sense. You're not getting these little fragments. And 9 times out of 10, you will not get it into your food where you don't want it. So here's a little tip for you. I'm just going to whisk this up. And the more you whisk your eggs, the better. So if you like scrambled eggs and stuff, don't just go like that and go, oh, I'm tired. I'm done. Keep whisking because you're incorporating air as well as mixing the egg together. And the more air you incorporate, the fluffier and better your scrambled eggs are going to be. So sometimes I'll get lazy and I'll throw them in my mixer, or my juice. What do you call them? Not juicer, but I forget what they're. I'm having one of those senior moments, but you know what I'm talking about, where you make smoothies. Yeah. Now a little blender or whatever it is. I throw them in there and just whisk them, and they'll like double in volume in like 30 seconds because you're putting all kinds of air. That makes one of the best omelets you'll ever have because they're nice and light and airy, and it looks a lot bigger. Restaurants use that as a trick too, by the way, to make it look like you're getting more food, but really you're just eating more air, which is probably good for you anyway. So, all right, so I guess everybody's ready. I've got my griddle on. All your griddles should be pretty much hot at this point. If you hold your hand over it, it should really feel uncomfortable if you're about an inch off it, like I am. I want to pull my hand away. So I think mine's ready. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do first. We'll do we're going to go in order. So we're going to do the fried rice. We'll do the beef and shrimp last. And the reason for that is so that, you know, our beef and shrimp aren't sitting there getting cold while everything else is cooking. Okay. So let me switch that out into a bowl. Different bowl. I think I poked a hole in this one. There we go. Okay. So griddle's hot. We're going to do the rice first. So in front of us, what we're going to need is our oil. We're going to need our soy sauce. Okay, eggs, some onion. And what else? Am I missing anything? A little bit of butter. We're not going to use it all, just a little bit. And that's it for our rice. Now, when you get the rice on there, it might actually start to pop because, especially, I took mine out of the fridge a little while ago to let it kind of come up to room temperature. I also left my meat and my shrimp out. It'll just cook a lot faster and you'll get even cooking. But if the rice is at room temperature rather than refrigerated temperature, it's less apt to jump off the griddle and hit you in the face because it'll pop, kind of like popcorn. It's crazy. So, Paul, put me back on the grill. There we go. So here we go. So I'm going to take some oil and I'm just going to put it on there like that. And I'm going to throw some onion on. Put on as much or as little as you want. And a little bit of butter. A little bit, you know, about, I don't know, teaspoon or more. It won't hurt. Paula Dean had probably put like a half a pound on there. Sorry, Paula. Not picking on you. Okay. So no need to make the onions cook a whole lot. What we're going to do now is put our rice. Watch how see how mine flows. Really nice. And now it starts popping. A good way to stop that popping too is hit it with a little bit of soy sauce. See what I'm doing? Then I'm going to spread it out. And I'm going to make a hole right in the middle, like a big old volcano hole. See how big that hole is? Really big. Make it massive. Big as you can get it. And I know y'all can guess what's going in the middle. The eggs. But I'm going to add a little bit of oil first. And I'm going to pour my egg in. Now, you don't want to stir your egg into the rice. If you do that, you're going to get mushy egg rice. So what we want is nice scrambled egg in rice. So we're going to cook it, and then we're going to mix it in. And while this is sitting, your rice is going to kind of caramelize on the bottom a little and get dark, and the soy sauce will help that along, and that's wonderful. That's all flavor. If you want to cook your eggs ahead of time in a separate pan, you can do that as well and just mix them in. This is just kind of a fancy, fun way of doing it. You're dirtying up less pans, and it kind of looks cool. So notice that I'm just kind of moving the eggs around just like if I was making breakfast. Just like that. Just keep them cooking. Everybody okay out there? If you need anything, just raise your hand and Paul will see you. All right, flip them over again. Oh, there we go. Now we're cooking.
I have a question from Deb.
Question
is, what heat should we be at about right now?
About medium heat. I mean, mine doesn't have any temperature on it. 300 to 350 is good. You don't need to be any hotter than that. It'll kind of, you could go hotter, but during a class, you know, we're kind of going slow, so you don't want to take a chance of, you know, losing track of it. All right, so my eggs are cooked, so I'm going to just flip my rice over. See how nice that is? Oh, man, that looks great. And just get your eggs kind of mixed in. And then it's going to come right off really quick. You're going to need a plate next to you, probably a very large one. I like putting all of it on one plate and then distributing it to people. But if you're doing 2 plates, that's okay. If you don't have a big enough platter or plate. But I'm going to show you mine. This is massive. And I'm going to go to one side because we got a lot of food to put on this one plate. And then at the end, I'm going to basically finish mine off and make it look real pretty. If you want more soy sauce, by the way, go ahead and throw it on there. That's up to you. I didn't put a lot on, but you could actually add more before you take it off the grill or even hit it with a little bit when it's on the plate. That's perfectly fine. And there we go. I've got a nice pile of rice right there. I'm going to move my plate to the side. This also heats up really well in a microwave, believe it or not. So, you know, if you want to warm it up before you eat, because it might have got cold, maybe your air conditioner's blasting at home, like mine is. I'm just going to wipe this off really quick. If there's a little bit of rice on there, it's not going to be a deal breaker, but I want to get a lot of it off. So, paper towel. I'm going to gently, without scratching. There we go. Okay. So now that the griddle's clean, we're going to go to the next step, and that's the vegetables. So what you want to do is go ahead and oil. And as you're cooking, if you're food looks like it's drying out on the griddle, just add more oil. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so we've got all our veggies in front of us. We're going to put a little bit of butter. And a little bit of sesame oil. Don't use it all. Maybe I don't know, half of what you have there. Teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and throw our vegetables on. Just lay them on there. Oh my goodness, look at all those veggies. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these. Spread them out. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper on them. So you can just take a pinch. I'm not measuring, I'm just tossing it on there. And no need to flip them or move them around. Just, have them kind of flattened out on the griddle.
Real quick question from Lauren and David.
Go ahead.
Did you just do butter and sesame oil? Butter
and sesame oil, correct. And it should say that on your recipe if you have it in front of you. If you missed that step, it wouldn't be a deal breaker, but the sesame oil really ties it in well, really makes the veggies taste good. I'm not going to put soy sauce on them yet. I want them to get 3/4 of the way done. And then I'm going to hit them with soy sauce, because soy sauce will burn really fast on a griddle, which gives you flavor as long as it's not, burning. You want it to caramelize a little bit, but you definitely don't want it to burn. And I've got so many veggies on here, I'm just going to use a little bit more oil. I'm going to give them about another 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip them because I want them to have some crunch. And then I'm going to put some of them in a bowl because I don't have enough room on my plate for all these, and then I'll put the rest on a plate so you can see it. At this point, your house should start smelling really good. Not like smoke. I don't hear any sirens, so I think we're doing pretty good.
We're doing good.
It's funny because a lot of times, in my classes, I meet all kinds of folks, but there's always a theme, in every class. And one of the themes is, there's always somebody in the class that can't regulate heat. They just don't understand heat, so they burn everything. So what I tell them to do is when you think it's right, turn it down by 50%. And they stop burning stuff immediately. It works every time. It's just, and some of them are great cooks. They just have a hard time seeing the heat. It's just like everything else. It's a learned thing for them. Some people just comes natural. Okay, so you can see my veggies are starting to soften up. My mushrooms are getting caramelized, my broccoli. Now I'm going to hit it with the soy. And a nice generous amount. Then I'm going to mix them all up. Man, they look good. I'm excited to be eating this. Okay, I'm going to start pulling mine off.
Tabitha asked if you could slow down just a little bit.
Absolutely. What did you need? Because my griddle's going probably maybe faster than yours, so
it could be, yeah.
I can't slow down the cooking part, but I could certainly stop and let you catch up or repeat stuff. That's not a problem. So let your veggies cook if they need to. I won't jump on to the next step until you're perfectly ready, so don't worry about that. I'm just getting mine off because I know they're going to sit here. And don't forget, they will cook as they're sitting, too. So.
Yeah, Lauren and David said, Lauren, my veggies are needing a little extra love cooking.
You go ahead. Give them the love. Somebody needs extra love on their veggies, have at it. I won't start until you are ready, I promise. I'm just going to get mine off because mine are loved. They are done, 100%. I like crunchy vegetables. Do not give me a mushy vegetable. I'll make a funny face and eat it anyway, probably, but I'll make a funny face first. But always keep in mind, you know, that your food, when it's hot, it's going to sit there and cook. It's called carryover. So, and I'm stacking mine pretty high, so they're going to retain heat and probably cook another 10, 15%. So just like a steak, you know, you want to pull it off a little under if you're going to rest it and let it sit for a little while, because it's going to cook up at least 5 to 10 degrees. So you have to kind of, that's why a lot of times restaurants mess up your steak, because they temp them right at temperature for like a medium rare or whatever, and then it sits in the window waiting for a server to pick it up for 5 minutes, and by that time it's now a medium. So you have to kind of count for that. Okay, when you are done, raise your hand and I will move on to the next thing. If you are not done, do not worry. I've got nowhere to be but to do hibachi with you guys. So take your time, do it right. I'm not going to rush it. I'll just pick up this mushroom that I dropped on the floor and throw it in the garbage because I don't have a 2-second rule. So we'll just get rid of that. If you're at home, hey, you'll probably just throw it back on the plate because you know your floor is clean. I don't know.
We have one hand up.
One hand up. All right, so we got one done. Good for you. You could be my sous chef next time because you're the speedy one. Who's that?
Lauren's up. Megan's up.
All right, we're catching up. Go ahead. Don't worry. You take your time. I'm going to clean up a little here. The rest of you can do that too. You know, wipe off your stove a little or do whatever you have to do to get ready for the next thing, which is going to be the noodles. So you can look on your recipe. I don't want to go over it yet because there's still folks that are catching up, but
Teresa's up.
just let me know when everybody's there, Paul. So this is where I'm at so far. Oh, I'm out front. Okay, there I am.
Want it closer?
Yeah, put it on the griddle if you don't mind. They don't need to see me cleaning up back here. There we go. So it's getting there. Woo! Looking good. All right, how we looking, Paul?
We still have a couple with no hands up.
Okay, don't forget to throw your hand up when you're done. So the rest of you, if you want to get all your ingredients in front of you for the noodles, go ahead. I've got mine lined up. How we doing out there, guys? Somebody fall asleep on me? Everybody up and awake? Still waiting on 2. Still waiting on 1. Good, we're almost there. Uh-oh, somebody likes their veggies well done, I think.
They may just need a little more love.
A little more love. All right.
Lauren said, "Ha, it's not me. I promise. Mine made it."
You notice I'm not mentioning any names, right? I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. Can they see each other's hands up?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
no.
so there you go. See? Nobody knows who it is. But if you're not done in about 30 seconds, I might change my mind and just go ahead and tell
That's
everybody.
right. We can switch your camera on.
Yeah. We'll just put your camera on. See you with that fire extinguisher. Hitting that griddle. Well, you said turn it on high.
I got a question for you while we're waiting.
Shoot.
When we get to the shrimp thing, can you like flip the shrimp up in the air and make it land on your hat?
No. First of all, I don't have one of those hats on. So, you know, it'll just bounce off my head and hit the floor. You know, I have a little story. The first time I taught this class in-house, I tried to do that little choo-choo train volcano thing. And, you know, the main ingredients are grain alcohol and oil. Well, I forgot the oil part. So I poured the grain alcohol in and lit it and found out, you know, the hard way that you get a really close shave from burning grain alcohol. The oil disperses the booze and keeps it from flaming up, the vapors. So there you go. That's why we're not doing that today, by the way. I know that'd be really good television entertainment for you, but I'm not sacrificing myself that way. Not this time, anyway. All right, I think we're going to have to move on. So whoever doesn't have your hand up, maybe they went to the bathroom or something. I don't know, but let's go ahead and go back to it. So what we're going to do now is the noodles. So what you want is a little bit of oil. And we're going to put some garlic. Save a little bit of the garlic for your meat at the end, okay? I'm going to throw, I have a lot of extra onion here, so I'm just going to throw some onion on. If you have them, fine. If not, don't worry about it. Don't put your green onion on yet. And then we're going to add a little bit of sesame oil. You should still have a little bit of sesame oil left. Don't use it all if you can help it. And then I'm just going to let this cook just a little bit. You don't really want to brown the garlic off, but you want it to cook, start softening up, get those flavors going. Also, excuse me, we're going to use some ginger. Go ahead and toss all your ginger in there. Excuse me, in there. So every bit of it. Going to move it around a little bit. Man, that ginger is just super aromatic right now. It's really, really smells good. All right, noodles on top. Woo, mine's stuck a little bit. No biggie, I'm just going to loosen them up. Probably just didn't add enough oil. There we go. Beautiful, just like that. Throw them right on there. This is just a heat up game at this point. So what I'm going to do, take your oyster sauce, throw it right on top, just like that. And we're going to stir. I like using 2 spatulas. You could use it. You could even use a pair of tongs if you want to. Just get that sauce all mixed in there really good. Warming them up, heating up your noodles. We don't have to cook them. Okay, a little bit of pepper. I know the recipe doesn't say it, I don't think, but I like a little pepper on mine anyway if you have it. Some green onion, much or little as you want, and soy sauce. That smells fantastic. Paul's over here drooling on his shirt.
I am.
Luckily, you don't see him because that's kind of gross, but he's starving over there, I think. So we're going to have to get moving here. All right. My plate runneth over, so to speak, because I think I made more than you guys did, but looks really good. So I'm going to show you my plate. Okay? Look at that thing. Woo! It's getting heavy. I'm going to clean off my griddle. Just push it all over here.
Brittany says her son walked in and said, "It smells good."
Smart kid. I don't know how old your son is. Could be 5, 8, or 30, but, you know, pretty smart. Nothing like some hibachi to get the neighbors coming over, too, you know, or the dogs jumping on your leg. You know, my